A lot of you click on this video because you want to improve at XDefiant, or you might be simply new to the game looking to master it. You constantly ask yourself, why is everyone so much better than me? Why is my aim so bad? Why is my KD suffering? You swap through a bunch of weapons and hope that you'll find a build that'll work out for you, but in the end, you do not find one. You want to be the MVP of the match, but it's so difficult because you can't get kills. And you start to wonder if there's a catch, whether or not you're missing something, a secret tactic, a trick, a certain meta build. And today I'm here to tell you that there is no secret catch. It is all called practice. But just telling you it takes practice is wrong. Practice needs to be done in the correct way in order for you to see improvement at all. Practice isn't just one thing. It's a bunch of concepts merged into one for your improvement. I'm first going to start by saying that if you want a quick and easy solution to improve overnight, then this is not the right place. However, a lot that I'm going to share with you, you can start applying as soon as you play XDefiant again. I'm Nizera. I've played COD and MK seriously for around 4 years, of which I recently switched to controller, playing a bit of MW3 on it, and mostly XDefiant now. On XDefiant I have a 2.2 KD and I drop high kill games consistently. My knowledge comes from being horrible at games like COD and coming from to what I am today. Alright, let's get into it. I'm going to split this video into two: short-term improvement and long-term improvement. First, we need to focus on the short-term improvement that is vital for our long-term progression. But we first got to start out with a simple question. You got to ask yourself, where do I need improvement the most? Is it my aim? Am I getting shot in my back a lot? Am I dying to stupid things? Do I understand every element of the game? Do I have the basics down of an FPS game? And if you figure out what's wrong, you need to focus on that part the most throughout the video. However, I will be covering most of my knowledge, so if you want, you can just stick around with the entire video. Let's start with the core mechanics of XDefiant. Any FPS game out there with the same concept as XDefiant will do too. First, the thing that I find the most important right next to aim is map knowledge and map awareness. If you want to become better at XDefiant, you first need to know the maps. So how do I get better at learning the maps? By simply playing the map over and over and over again. The maps in XDefiant are straightforward and aren't too complicated to learn, and they all feature a pretty enjoyable layout so you can easily learn it. You can't expect to improve so quickly if you don't even know the layout of the map. But assuming you do, let's get into the tips to master any map. Let's take Mayday for example. It is considered a 3-lane map by the obvious indication of 3 paths a player can take throughout the map: the plane, the left lane, and the right lane. The plane is the hotspot. Players can enter the plane directly from their spawn or from either lanes. So what does this tell us? The plane is going to be constantly full of players fighting for that spot, since it is the center of the map. If you want to die less frequently, avoid the plane as much as you can, and instead take more smarter routes. This applies to literally any map. And for payload and escort, don't push the objective 24/7 if you die all the time. Once again, using Mayday, let's talk about spawns. On this video you can see we clear the enemies off this point, so my map knowledge immediately goes to where are they spawning. This is a very important question you need to ask yourself when playing XDefiant. If you kill an enemy, you need to ask yourself, where did this person just spawn after I killed him? And no, I'm not saying you need to know the exact spawn, even just the general direction of where the enemy team will spawn. Yeah, because I've played this map quite a bit, I know where they are spawning. They are spawning behind this hill, sort of behind the plane. That's why I can angle myself and position myself to catch them off guard while they're running back to the point and essentially spawn trapping them. And the best way to figure out spawns is to just be more aware of where the enemies are coming from after they got killed. You learn this the more you play the game, but I caught onto it really quick because I play Call of Duty, of course. But not just the enemies. When you die, you can ask yourself the same question. I just died here at this point, my teammates were here, and the enemies seem to have spawned somewhere over here. So in that case, why did I get spawned here? Do be careful though, because spawns work differently depending on the gamer too. It's just one of those things you learn while playing the game. So the most vital thing in this game is to learn the spawns and you'll improve really quickly. Simple as that. Next up we have aiming. Now, like I said, I'm on controller, but this applies to whatever input. It's a general guide to improve your aim. First, the basics. You get 2 types of aiming: centering and active aim. Centering is the most important thing to learn first when you're playing XDefiant. Throughout these videos, you might notice that I always place my crosshair in places where I think the enemy might come from. With that said, I always try to keep this crosshair at head or chest level. So why do we do this? If you keep your crosshair at leg level or just on the floor in general, you are already at a disadvantage. You see an enemy, you first need to move your crosshair off the floor and onto the enemy. Where if you just place this crosshair a little higher at like chest level or head level, all you had to do was aim in and shoot. The best way to improve your centering is by constantly reminding yourself to move your crosshair at chest level and areas where you think people will be going around. Active aim is you physically engaging with the enemy with your aim. It is the thing that people typically refer to when they say your aim is bad. This is your actual aim. Active aim is difficult to prove at initially, but the best way to do it in this game is by following this guide I have on YouTube. However, here's a general guide to improve at it, so you don't have to watch the video if you don't want to. First, you can make use of aim trainers such as Aim Labs or Kovacs, but the best way to train your active aim is by just playing the game. That way you get the most out of experience, learning how people move and stuff like that. You just get way more experience out of the game itself instead of using a trainer like Aim Labs or Kovacs. Also, you need to find the right settings for yourself. Don't copy other people's settings, it does not work. You need to try out different sensitivities in the firing range, play around and see which one works for you. Typically, if you're starting out, I recommend using a lower sensitivity, and then the more experience you get, try to bump it up to a point where you feel comfortable with your sense. So how do we actually improve at XDefiant? First, you need to start up by making sure you're using the correct build for your gun. It sounds so stupid, but trust me, you need to find the right build that fits you. My whole YouTube channel is just filled with a bunch of build videos, so you can go find a gun on my channel and try to use the build I've provided and see if it works out any better for you. And just general knowledge, of course, every class has its own play style. If you're going to be using the MP5, don't play it at range, play it close range, and same for the ARs. Don't push people and rush them a whole bunch. Just use the AR how you're supposed to. Play it a bit more at range, and then you'll see already a great improvement in your skill. Then the movement, it's everywhere in the game, so how do you do it? Well, we get a bunch of different types of movement in XDefiant. Jump shotting, slide cancelling, bunny hopping, strafe jump, etc, etc, etc. Movement complements aim beautifully in this game. You need to stop being a sitting duck and make more use of your movement buttons. Try to implement jumping more often when taking on gunfights, as it makes you a harder target to hit. Slide cancel around corners so you can catch your opponents off guard. And of course, there is a downside of using more movement, and that is you need to make use more of your active aim. For example, you're jumping, so your aim is shifting from the ground position into the air, which means you're gonna have to aim slightly down while jumping, so your aim always stays on target. And watch a bunch of streamers and pro players make use of movement and try to implement it in game. You run way faster using your pistol than your primary weapon. Don't try to get too fancy with the movement if you don't have your aim down yet. Gradually try to implement more and more movement the more you feel comfortable with your aim. Now, let's begin with the factions. Factions are so important. Now, I love Libertads, and that is because my playstyle is very rushed. I like to push people, I like to challenge a lot of people even when I'm low health, so being able to heal whenever and retake a gunfight immediately afterwards is what I like. But that is me, and you are different, and so is the map and choice of your weapon. Now, each faction has an aggressive ability and a defensive ability, and most classes have a really good passive ability. You shouldn't worry too much about passives because it's in the name. It's a passive ability, it'll just help you out. And then of course the ultimates, just gonna quickly breeze over them. Cleaners have a flamethrower that basically kills instantly close range. Phantoms have a large bubble that deploys around them, making them immune to damage outside the bubble. Libertad has a ring which overheals you to 200 HP and constantly refills your HP when inside it. Echelon has the 5.7 pistol and wall axe. The pistol one-shots at closer ranges, but it's a two-shot kill regardless at what range. Headset has a large EMP device that disables enemy abilities, and you have the opportunity to cancel out ultimates. Okay, now for the actual abilities. I would rank them as aggressive and defensive abilities, so let's get into it. If you have an aggressive playstyle, these are the best for you. Cleaners with the firebomb allows you to almost immediately kill anyone in that area that you deploy a firebomb in. It makes it really useful for rushing. Libertad with the Biovita boost. It's basically a stim that heals you almost instantly to full health when you pop the ability, and remember to heal your teammates too. And for the Phantoms, I would generally put both abilities as defensive abilities, but where the Phantoms really shine is in their passive trait. They have 120 health, so you can rush people and take gunfights with more confidence, and you are basically an extra bullet to kill against most weapons. Echelon, both abilities are quite aggressive. Digital ghillie suit allows you to go invisible, and you can do with whatever you want with that. I like to rush people when I'm invisible or take flank routes because it makes me a way harder target to hit or notice. The intel suit is wall axe in close proximity to you, so you can pre-fire people around corners and predict where they are going. And for the death sec, the spider bots hunt down enemies and then cling to their face, stunning them. However, enemies can shoot it out quite quickly, so I don't really recommend using DeadSec for aggression. Now, if you like a defensive playstyle more, let's get into some of the abilities I have here. So for the cleaners, you can use their drone, and it allows you to burn people from a distance. Like, you can deploy it behind a wall and it'll fly over and kill people on the point, but it's not really that good. In fact, I actually hate this drone a lot. Just use the firebomb either way. However, what makes the cleaners really good is the incendiary rounds. I'll get into that in just a second. And for the Phantoms, the mag barrier, you can just slam it down and shoot a bunch of enemies behind cover only you can shoot through. The blitz shield is quite useless unless you push a payload with it or just soak up some objective time. And then the Libertad El Remedio. If you want to anchor down and get objective while constantly getting healed, then this one is for you. And now for DeadSec, the hijack ability is a hybrid. You can decide what it is, but you can hack enemy abilities with it and it becomes your own. So it really depends on your playstyle. I would use it more for aggression, if that makes sense. So using that information, you can decide what you want to play according to your playstyle. However, if you're just starting out, I recommend choosing the defensive route first and then gradually upgrading to more aggressive playstyles, because aggressive is what's going to get you the most kills eventually. But if I had to pick something here that is the most straightforward and easiest to use for new players, it would be the cleaners or phantoms. The cleaners allow you to finish off enemies that are left at around 5 HP or lower because of the burn damage. And if someone is rushing you, you can just plop down the firebomb and immediately kill them. It is as simple as that. And for the phantoms, you can use the barrier to chill behind cover, and you have an additional 20 HP, so you are pretty tanky. Then let's talk about the minimap. The minimap is so important to use, not just in this game, but games like COD 2. Minimap displays a bunch of information, such as red dots revealing enemy locations and where your teammates are at. Red dots from enemies appear when they fire a bullet from an unsuppressed weapon or when they are revealed. So make it a habit to every now and again check your minimap. That has more been worked into my subconscious behavior, so I would like every 3 seconds look at the minimap and see if I can see anything. Otherwise, I would just keep my eyes on the game. So it allows you to see where people spawn to, so you can actually pinpoint exactly where enemies are spawning based off your teammate's location on the minimap. Now let's talk about the long-term improvement. The long-term improvement is almost dependent on the short-term improvement. So let's say you want to see results in a time frame of like 2 weeks. You can have to be assistant across the board of everything that I just taught you. But here's my secret: if you're just starting out being used to this whole FPS thing, especially XDefiant or COD in general, you need to watch pro players play the game. Go on Twitch and just watch people play the game. See how they utilize movement, see how they utilize jump shotting, see how they shoot, everything that they do, because that is the best way to learn, is just by watching someone else play first. And then ask yourself, what am I struggling the most with? And then you need to focus on that part more than the other. For example, my aim is not the best yet on controller, so I actively warm up more in the practice range. And then another secret that I use is to record your gameplay and then watch it back to see where you are struggling. Small things like, oh, wait, over here my centering was off and that got me killed. Or over here there was a red dot on the minimap, but I just didn't bother to look at it, so that eventually got me killed. It just makes you more aware of what's going on around you if you just watch your gameplay back and just see where the problem lies. Or come join my Discord server with the link in the comments, and hopefully this guide will improve you at XDefiant. With that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.